Hi, I'm Jessica Tamaro, realtor in Nashville, and often get asked questions about short-term rentals. I'm a host myself with 10 properties. I started as a school teacher. I've done creative financing, all kinds of crazy things. I also served on the board for the Short-Term Rental Association, but I get asked often, like, how do you get started? So I'm making a really quick video I can share with everybody on that. So here in Nashville, I would say first thing to get started is understand what's allowed and what's not allowed. So there's two types of properties that are short-term rentals in Nashville. They're owner occupied and non-owner occupied. Most of it's based on zoning. So if you're looking for property, Nashville now has a property search lookup, and it explains if your zoning allows for owner occupied or non-owner occupied and why. And then I also, for my clients, will always email codes just to make sure that a property can be zoned for what they're looking for. So non-owner occupied are your investors, which most of you probably are if you're watching this. And pretty much in Nashville, it's allowed in commercial zoning as long as it's on a major street. So those are your zonings that start with C, O, and MUL properties, your DTC, things like that. So you don't have to know all the zoning. Your agent should be able to help you with that. And then you can also use the Metro Nashville address lookup for short-term rental permits. It's brand new. Most agents don't even know it's out yet. So that's exciting. So you want to start with the zoning, and then you want to consider the market, the cost, things like that. And in Nashville, a 4-bedroom is the most that you can be permitted for. And so a lot of people love to go after the 4 bedrooms. Me personally, I like a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom closer to downtown. I feel like they fill up during the week. Nashville is very much a weekend city, and we're also not a big holiday city. So your Thanksgivings, your Christmas, your Easter, those weekends are usually not busy here. So if you factor in that you're probably only going to be booked on weekends and you might lose those traditional holiday weekends, then you might decide that maybe a 4-bedroom isn't the best choice, or maybe you do want to stick with that 4-bedroom. I've also had 4 bedrooms and advertised a second listing as a 2-bedroom to try to get those weekday bookings, because smaller groups are more apt to visit Nashville during the week. I do like this market. There's only one Nashville in the whole world. So while I feel like beaches can get saturated because they can keep building, more and more condo buildings on the beach, and there's beaches all over the world, Nashville is Nashville, and it's got the songwriters rounds, and it has the events and the ball games and things like that. So we all know Super Bowl's coming now, and WrestleMania, and like a lot of these other events, some Olympic events are coming here. So that's super exciting. So I do love Nashville for those reasons. I do believe in the market here. We also have a great convention center. So I like 1 and 2 bedrooms that are walkable to Broadway, that you can go to the convention center for the weekday business. And the 4 bedrooms, if you decorate them appropriately, manage them great. So there was one, speaking of management, there was one property next to our property that only did $18,000 one year. And one of my clients bought it. At that time, we had a management company. I took it over, and the next year we did $88,000 without much change in the furniture, just the management style. So it was a $70,000 difference. So self-managers do tend to make more than management companies if you're dedicated. So we use OwnerRes software, we use Price Labs, we use OwnerRes is awesome because they don't pay me. I do have an affiliate code if you want it, but OwnerRes will create the website for you. They will integrate your door locks. They integrate rental agreements. Always do rental agreements, because Airbnb has canceled reservations on us while the guests are in there, and they basically just say, call the police. So because we had the IDs, the police knew what they were getting into whenever they got there. So OwnerRes does all of that for you, and it's a very minimal fee. So for our actual self-management, that's what we use. OwnerRes, Price Labs, And that's our website. We're Jetty Vacations is our name, Jessica and Tyler. So we're JETYvacations.com if you want to see our website, see what that looks like. And yeah, I mean, I like, if you get boosted for having a pool or being a river view, a skyline view, all of those options and amenities, you want to add in as many as you can. I am a fan of decor. I don't like neutrals. In Nashville, the ones that are decorated the cutest do the best. And that could be a combination, because if you really are involved and care about your clients, then you're probably a great host, and you also have that decorative edge. So you want things that look good in pictures. You want to keep it clean, and you want to treat your guests like gold. But you can also do that by, in your listing description, just think about which clients you want. So we had one that was like in a transitioning area, and every family that stayed there complained. They didn't feel safe, they didn't whatever. So simply change the decor and the demographics. So it did have floating stairs, so we just simply said, not for kids. We have floating stairs here, kids aren't safe here because of the floating stairs. And you know, you can paint it gray and black and call it the Outlaw and get groups of guys, and they're not going to complain about the area. They're not going to feel unsafe. They're on vacation with a group of guys. We no longer have that property. Our properties are all in places that we either currently live or have lived. Particularly when I was single, I lived in the condos that we have downtown, and I loved it. I ran, I was by myself all the time. I never felt unsafe. So obviously the area, location, it doesn't matter what year it was built. It doesn't matter how old it is. If you have the location, free parking, all of those things, the property is going to do really well. So if you have questions, please do call me or have your agent call me, and we can talk through some things. I'm happy to share. I'm very transparent. I want everybody to be successful in this. But those are my major tips. Use the parcel viewer that Metro Nashville has put out to make sure that you're eligible, and think about your decor, what bedroom size you want, bathrooms, and then design it for the guests that you want. Nashville hopefully will become more family friendly, but right now we do a lot of pinks and teals, and you know, vanities everywhere, and mirrors and lights and all of the things that would attract a group to come if it's a bigger house. On our smaller condos, we've named them after country songs and things like that. So you can theme an Airbnb. It makes it fun. Hotels are all the same for the most part. A JW Marriott is going to look like a JW Marriott anywhere. They're not as fun. So with Airbnb, you can add more personality to it, and I love that. If you have any other questions, just let me know.